Okay, I'm glad you made it, Rhonda. We're going to use big pillows today, or at least 2 pillows, so make sure you grab pillows. I've just got some from my bed, and I know it's very dark in here, but it's just the way that we are right now. This is Jezebel. I don't know if you noticed her up on the bed. She will probably be there the full time, but if she gets up and gets a little bit too rowdy, she'll go in her home there. She's adorable. She'll come up and poke her head in. While we are dealing with this less than ideal air quality situation, I'm going to do a practice today that is very much slowed down. We're going to do some exercises in slowing and smoothing the breath out. And I've told the story often of that time where I was really upset about something and I just kept asking, like, I just need a distraction, and my purse and my phone got stolen, and so I was distracted by that the whole rest of the day, because it's important to be specific about our intentions. Otherwise, you just might get what you asked for in a way that you didn't intend to. And when we're thinking just in these very broad scoped ideas about, like, oh, I just want the fires to stop, that statement doesn't set an intention about when, and it doesn't set an intention about how. Like, I want the fires to stop quickly because we are able to get them under control with the least amount of damage to our community possible. I don't want the fires to stop because everything is gone. Of course, that's not where we're headed. We're headed towards this being stopped quickly with the least amount of damage possible, but we have to continue to set that broad spectrum intention to that pursuit, to that place that we want to be in, where we can like breathe outside. And having very specific, detailed intentions is a mindfulness practice. It's like our physical practice, the way that I teach, the way that I cue things, it's very detailed in our experience in the body, not because, oh, you're a bad yogi if you don't feel like exactly the way the underbutt lines up and you have to be specifically this way and that way. It's about really trying to dive deep into this experience of existing in this, human sack of skin and bones, etc. Because when we are that detailed and that tuned into it, it becomes a meditation. If we have this visualization of this better ecosystem we wish to find ourselves in, then that's really tuning in to this presence and this experience. If we can do this in our bodies, then we're also tuning very much into this presence and this experience. And especially with ideas about our ecosystem, our environment, and trying to manifest that as specifically as possible, hopefully as beautifully as possible, in just the ways that we want it to be. That law of attraction sort of thing. I can't just say, like, oh, I want to make $1 million this year. It's not going to fall out of the sky. But I can say I am going to make decisions to put my financial house in order and be sure that my needs are met. And getting specific like that has much more value in our lives. We're going to start off with a little circular nostril breathing. So it might get you a little bit sniffly, so if you need to like run and grab a tissue or something, that is kind of the point, is to kind of clear out, to be a filter in our own bodies, in our own respiratory system. So you might take, you will take your thumb, and you're going to place the thumb at the right nostril, and then your ring finger is going to go at your left nostril, and you're going to close the left one to inhale through your right nostril, and then close the right nostril to exhale through the left one, and then close the left to inhale through the right, and close the right to exhale through the left. And sometimes we do alternate, where we alternate in between. This is really circular, so we're keeping it going in this cycle. Just as life moves in cycles, just as even fires, although preferably not of this magnitude, this season is a part of the way in which our world works. Again, hopefully not of this magnitude in the future. Just keep moving through this flow of breath though, and see if you can slow down your inhales and exhales and practice withdrawing of the senses of Haryagraha with all of the banging going on in my building at this point. Take a few more rounds like this. Let's say about 3 more breaths. The next time you finish up your exhale, go ahead and relax your hands down into your lap. Give a little wiggle into your shoulders if you need to grab a tissue and clear anything out. Go ahead and do that. And then come to your steady seat up on all these pillows. We've got 2 big pillows today for practice. We'll use them. We'll do a lot of more yin and restorative shapes to keep our breath moving nice and steady. As you come out of that circular nostril breathing and create a steady flow of breath that's a little bit more typical for our practice, see if you can keep that breath very steady, smooth, and slow. Increasing the duration of your inhale and exhale more so than trying to increase the volume. You don't really need to take in and out a lot of air, just give the time and awareness to the air that you do take in and out. And rather than trying to really belt out our ohms today and letting them be really explosive or loud, just kind of letting the sound happen. We'll start with 2 breaths together. Just take an inhale, let it be nice and long. Let the air come out of your mouth. And again, like that. Just let it come out. For 3 ohms. You're going to take your legs, if you've had them wound up, unwind them. If you've got them out in front of you, then great, you're already starting there. You're going to take your right leg in, and you can hold onto the leg if that feels better for you, or cross it over so we get a little bit more outer thigh stretch. Just going to hold onto the leg gently. Take your collarbones, feel them lift and open as you twist over towards the right side, and then bring your right hand in close. Mine's pretty close to me. I don't want to lean back out of this twist. I want to soften my insides as I move into the twist. See if you can bring that slow, steady quality of breath back in, even when you're twisting, even when you're here and it's a little bit harder to breathe. One more nice, slow, steady breath. And release your twist and start to find the other side. So you'll take your left leg up and you can just let it pull in easy, or intensify it a little bit by crossing the leg over and just hold on to your left leg nice and easy. Feel your collarbones open up into the twist. Bring the left hand in close enough that you don't have to lean back, and let your belly soften as you roll your heart over towards the left. See if you can keep the breath slow and long and smooth. One more full inhale and exhale. And start to release and unwind your twist. We're going to take both of the legs over towards the left side. So you've got your knees kind of turned over towards the right. Probably sitting up on the pillows is still feeling pretty good. If it's not feeling that great, go ahead and set those off to the side. You don't really need them at this point. What you might do is sit a little bit more on your right hip by putting your left shin on the inside of your foot. Kind of snuggle the foot down so it's kind of just there on the inside of your lower leg. And then you're going to take your, the right hand and bring it behind your back. And then see if you can put your left arm in your right hand. So I'm holding on over here. If that's not working, you can put hands on. Sometimes that's a little bit easier in the shoulders. And it's going to create a little bit of stretch on the front of your shoulder. You want to try to soften your collarbone down and then look down towards your left hip. Or down towards your arms, your hands. Let your seat be heavy. You've got the pillows that are hopefully supporting you and making this a little bit less intense in the hips, and letting this just be a little bit more looseness around the neck and the throat area. One more breath in. One more breath out. And then start to lift yourself up. I'm going to unwind that back arm and then switch the legs over so that you have maybe your foot kind of rests on the bottom of this calf. More open or a slightly different shape of the legs is fine. Just mostly having them folded over in that direction, and then taking your left hand behind your back. I usually start with the hand facing back. That way I have an easier time bringing my arm bone into the palm, but hand on hand, because sometimes the situation is back here, feels better. Either way is fine. And then you're gonna relax this left collarbone open as you look down towards the right. Letting your hips be heavy, keeping that slow, steady flow of breath going. One more breath in. One more breath out. And starting to lift yourself up, slowly releasing those arms. I'm going to change the way that the pillows are set up unless you're already this way on your mat. But you'll want to have these lined up so that they go out kind of long. If they're square, that's fine too. Just bring them about in the middle of your mat. And then you're going to sit down on the pillows and lay back so that your hips are lifted up. You might have to wiggle around a little bit. Make sure that the pillows aren't too much underneath your waist. Like for me, they kind of touch my waist. That's about the alignment there. And then open your arms out like a cactus shape so that your elbows are spread out wide, hopefully spreading your collarbones out. You can adjust the shoulder blades a little bit underneath the back if that helps you to find a little bit more space open in the chest. And then just gently roll your knees over towards the right and soften your left collarbone. And then move your knees over towards the left side, softening your right collarbone. And just one more time each side. You don't have to go all the way because sometimes there's a little tension in the lower back. This is more for the chest to open up. Taking the knees over towards the left. And then bringing the legs back to the center. You're going to take your right leg up in the air. Try to make the leg pretty straight. A lot of us, it's not going to get totally straight because I'm going to try not to use your hands. You're just going to take 3 slow, deep breaths, pushing the foot up to the ceiling and the hip down into the pillows, which is your core work for today. You've already got one breath, I hope. Moving slow and steady through that second breath. Noticing things will get a little bit shaky and difficult, and just putting your intention to slowing it down and smoothing it out. And then bend into that knee, set the foot down, and slide the foot out a little bit. So you might slide it out a lot. You might just kind of open it up. And then take your right hand onto your belly and feel your belly pulling back towards your heart. So there's a little stretch to the front of your hip flexor. One more breath in. One more breath out. And then you're going to take that right leg up and put the right ankle on your left knee and turn that knee forward. Now, if your hips don't love this, you could alternatively slide your thigh over your thigh to pull the legs in, or keep the ankle on the knee and pull the legs in right on in between the legs, holding onto your left thigh. And this is going to be a very different experience than most of the times when we take our reclined pigeon pose. Just let your hips rest into the pillow, softening and lengthening your breath. It seems to get a little bit more into the top of the hamstring, a little bit deeper into that hip, just because there's a slight tilt in the way that the pelvis is set up. Gravity affects the shape differently. One more breath like this. And starting to release that left leg down, release the right leg down, and then take the left leg up into the air. You want to make the leg as straight as you can. Totally straight is not that important. It can be bent, but make the leg active. You want to feel the sole of your foot pressing the ceiling up and away, and your hips rooting down into your pillows so that your belly is drawn in and working kind of hard here. Try to keep your jaw muscles from working hard by smoothing out and lengthening your breath. 2 more long breaths. Relaxing the collarbones as well. And then relax the leg. Set your left foot down, slide that left leg out. Doesn't have to go out all the way, but just take your left hand and place it on your belly, and it's just a guiding of your belly back away from your hip bones, like your belly button's gonna fall back towards your heart, and just give a little bit more opening to the front of this hip. We're just resting the compression that we just made. One more breath. And then taking that left leg, bringing it up, putting the left ankle on your right knee. The left arm goes in between the legs, and then let those legs tilt up to you. The pelvis tilts up to you in a way that's supported by the pillows. You can still rest your your hips down towards the pillows, but just tilts you a little bit differently. Again, you can have thigh on top of thigh, kind of pulling in this way. There's a little bit less rotation having the legs together like this, so just decide what seems like a better choice for your body today. What I notice when my hips are lifted up by the pillows is that my arms work a lot less hard, so the muscles in the fronts of my shoulders and my chest are less tense. It's just an observation in my body. You might notice something different. Take about 2 more long, slow breaths like this. And start to release that right leg, set the left foot down. You're gonna roll yourself over off of your pillows so you can catch yourself with your hands, sit yourself up. We're gonna sit back up on the pillows. This time, bring the soles of your feet in towards each other. And having this really big lift in the hips is hopefully helping so that we have a little bit more space open in the hips and we're able to sit up a little bit more easily. If this is not working for your legs, just go ahead and extend your legs out or find another position. You could even sit up in a chair or on a couch for a moment. We're gonna get back into some breath work. And this breath work is gonna happen in the rib cage. I'm gonna try to feel an isolation. I'll mirror you of an inhale opening up more through the right side of the ribs and then softening, and then an inhale opening up more of the left ribs. And feeling that deflating as you exhale. Keep going side to side. Not worried about taking in a big inhale, but giving the time to make that adjustment in your rib cage. 2 more times each side. Really feeling the fanning out of one side and the softening in, and isolating to the fanning out of the other, and the softening in. And then you're just going to take yourself up into a standing position. Go ahead and just lift yourself up. Your mat space you'll want to be clear so you can move the pillows out of the way. We'll bring them back in a little while. We'll do a couple of standing poses. First, take your feet and then kind of just roll them around a little bit so you can loosen up. Probably haven't been walking around and doing much this week. And then rolling around on the other side. Just kind of getting the connective tissue broken up a little. And then with the feet down, bring your index toes, your big toes together. I don't know what that is. And feel the fronts of your hips lift up. You're going to squeeze your inner thighs together and feel the insides of your heels squeeze together because they're going to help squeeze your bum up and in together a little bit. Reach up and catch hold of your right wrist and side bend over to the right. Can you feel your right ribs expanding with your breath as you side bend? One more breath in and out. Coming up and side bending over towards the other side. Keep squeezing the insides of your heels together. Can you feel a little bit more breath on these left ribs? I find this very hard, by the way. One more inhale and exhale. And coming up, releasing your arms down. You can hold your hands at your hips or bring your hands to your heart, or feel free if you've got something you want to be near. We do a little standing balancing, maybe put a hand up onto it, a bookshelf or a wall. We're bringing these feet back out to about hip width distance apart. And as we take this little flow, this is going to be our standing balance. We're going to try to slow down our movement. And I have to warn you, getting the foot down slowly is way harder than getting the foot up slowly. Like up slowly is fine, but then we kind of like fall it back down. So if it falls a couple of times, if we fall over, it's not a big deal. This is just an exercise and awareness of where we're at, not like a specific thing that we have to accomplish every time. We're going to do a couple of times right to left. And then I'll let you know, we're going to hold the right side up. We'll inhale, lift it up, hold it as you exhale, hold it as you inhale, and then try to slow down the exhale as you lower it. And again, it's not perfect or choreographed. That's just the idea of our movement. Take an inhale and an exhale on your own, nice and slow, just the way you'll be moving. And then when you inhale, you're going to lift the right leg up. Make sure you lift up through that center line of your body and try to slowly, smoothly set the right foot down. Slowly, smoothly inhale the left foot up. Slowly, smoothly set it down. Going side to side a few more times. It doesn't have to be up high. Just want to make sure it's slow. Even if you fall over, it doesn't end up so slow after all. This time, lift the right leg up. Stay there as you exhale. Stay there as you inhale. And slow down that exhale to lower the foot. We're going to keep switching side to side. Lift the left, lower the left. Lift the right, lower the right. Lift the left, lower the left. Lift the right, lower the right. We're going to hold the left side this time. So inhale, lift it up. Make sure you're not falling back. Stay there as you exhale. One more time. Inhale, lift up. And then set the foot down. Wiggle things out. We're going to come into horse stance, or into our goddess squat. You're going to turn your knees and your toes out. Make sure that the feet aren't turned way back beyond the knees. So if the knees are pointing there and the feet are pointing there, you need to bring the feet up. And we're going to come as low as you can, as low as your knees are fine with. If you need to be up a little bit higher and have barely any bend, that's good too. But come to a place where you feel like you can really dig in and create that nice, slow, steady breath. And we're going to try to create a slow, steady movement of the arms only. Inhale, lifting them up. And exhale, relaxing the hands down, floating them down. Push into the pinky toe edges of your feet. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, bringing the hands down. Try to stay low. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, float them down. One more time, floating it up. Floating it down. See if you can sink down a little bit more at the bottom. And then let it go. Turn your feet forward. Just go ahead and shift your hips a little bit side to side here. We'll come into warrior one. So I'll start off facing this way. Go ahead and take your right leg forward and your left leg back. You're going to try to mirror me here, taking your toes up, bringing your hands to your hips to start off with. Feel your pelvis moving forward. So you start off with a stretch to the front of your hip, and then drag that right thigh bone back just a little bit so that you really tuck it into the pelvis, and then lift your arms up. We're going to stay for a few breaths. If you need to come out, come out. See if you can smooth down your breath and really stay present, even in this shape that's so familiar, so common to us. If you've been practicing for a while. One more nice, slow, big breath in. Big breath out. If you can, stay low as you open yourself out. And you might adjust your feet a little bit. If you need to lift up, you can lift up. But try and stay low. See what happens. Now we're just kind of challenging that grounded feeling, that low, deep, strong leg Slow breath in. Slow breath out. Slow breath in. Make sure that your foot isn't back too far. You might want to scoot your foot forward so that it's underneath your ankle and not behind the ankle. One more exhale. And then straighten the legs. Bring your hands to your hips. Tilt those hips over and slide your right hand down, finding triangle pose. Use your feet, not your hand, to support you. So you don't want to put a lot of strain right here around the knee joint. Your fingertips are just touching and lifting the chest. Spreading the toes down into the mat, ears away from the tail, tail away from the ears. One more smooth, slow breath in. Slow breath out. Draw the belly in, lift up. And we're going to switch over to the other side, finding warrior one. So you'll have to adjust the feet a little bit so that you aren't crossing them over as you turn over this way. Watch that, especially warrior one is a little bit shorter shape. When you go into warrior two, what'll often happen is if you don't open your legs more, the knee goes over the toes instead of the ankle. So you might have to wiggle that foot back when we get to warrior two. So in warrior one, though, go ahead and lift the front of your hips, relax your left thigh bone back, and then lift your arms. Strong feet so that your foundation is solid. You can be smooth and easy up top. One more full round of breath. And if you like, try to stay low as you open your arms up, and you'll probably scooch that back foot back a little bit just to be sure that you can keep a good healthy alignment of your front knee. And keep the knee facing forward. Just pull the top of the thigh bone up into your pelvis. Looking out over your left fingertips. One more long, smooth breath in and out. Straighten the front leg, bring your hands to your hips, tilt those hips over, that top one tilts over slightly, and the left hand comes down just a touch. The strength to support you is in your feet and in your core and in opening the chest. Keep that smooth, steady flow of your breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Starting to lift yourself up. Take all 10 toes to face forward. You're going to come into a fold, make it your own, move and flow around a little bit. Just make it nice and easy on your body. Come down, bending the knees as much as you need. Make sure your toes point forward. Wiggle where you feel inclined to wiggle. Bobble your head if that feels good to you. At the very least, though, make sure you're not holding weird tense things in your neck. One more exhale. And bring your hands up to your hips. Stand yourself up. Bring your feet towards each other. I'm going to grab your pillows. Come back to those. Take them into the middle of your mat. Have the feet on them. Bring your knees out fairly wide, soles of the feet down. Bring elbows on the insides of your knees and squeeze your knees into your elbows. Squeeze a little bit your belly back towards your spine. So maybe like 25-30% intensity of the belly going back. Think of your lower back being wide, spacious, squishy. One more big, smooth, slow breath in. Slow down your breath out. And start to slide your legs out And if you're seated mostly towards the front of your pillows, it kind of tilts your pelvis forward, especially all of this lift that you've got with many more pillows or cushions than we usually use. And then take your hands somewhere that's comfortable to you. Sometimes having them on the shins, sometimes having them out in front of you. Come to a place that's like where you start to feel things, and then back off just a little bit from there. And we're going to stay in a fairly long hold, so make sure you're using your hands to support you. You should have no tension in the lower back. And keep thinking of that wide, expansive sensation or texture to the lower back. Rest your head. Just stay with the breath. If you start to feel a little bit more space opening up and you want to go a bit further, go a bit further, but try to keep from going into a really intense stretch space or a really intense response in anywhere else in the body. And be in a place where you can feel the shape. Breathe with any of these sensations that come up. Maybe scanning through the body, noticing how different parts are impacted. Maybe your shoulders are creeping up as you support yourself with your hands. Just let them know they have the opportunity to relax downwards. One more breath in. One more breath out. And start to walk your hands back up. I'm going to take your right leg in, bring your left leg and close it in a little bit more. And then we're going to come out into a fairly long held fold here too. So go to a place that's like right where you find a little intensity, back off a little bit from that intense point. And then let yourself rest into this fold. Sometimes taking and bending the knee and kind of pulling it in feels a little bit better in the hamstring and the back. You're welcome to make that change. One more long, slow breath in and long, slow breath out. And start to lift yourself out of your fold and make a change towards the other side. Just take your right leg out, draw that left leg in. It's not super wide. You have that opportunity to come into the fold. You might have to wiggle a little bit. You might decide to bend into your straighter leg, your extended leg. Come to a place where you have a little sensation, not a lot of sensation. If there's a lot of sensation, back off. So that you have the capacity to spend time here and allow the change to take place rather than trying to force it. One more full round of breath. And start walking those hands back up. We're gonna switch the leg. So you're gonna have your right leg forward and your left leg's gonna pull in. No, whatever this is, just switch the legs. And then you're gonna have to take this, like, you got a couple of options. You can take this fold again. If you're able to cross the foot over, so you're on the pinky toe edge of your foot. So I've got my knee down. So I'm on the outside edge of the foot. And then you might hold on to your knee and hinge the heart forward over your thigh, which gets to be a really big hamstring stretch here. If you want to get more of this outer hip stretch, I'm going to go over towards it. No, it's this way. Got it. So go over towards your foot. And the idea there is not that you lift the hip up and follow you, but that you relax it down. Breathing in. Breathing out. One more full round of breath. And start to come up. If this is bothering your knee, if it's bothering your ankle and you need to not be here anymore, just extend both legs out. If you'd like to stay here, if this is feeling like some good work on the outside of your thigh, you can. If you want to experiment a little bit, you might fold that bottom leg under. And if you get there and say, oh, that was a terrible idea, that's too much sensation, I can't breathe there, extend that bottom leg out. What we'll do here is we'll take these cow face legs and put eagle arms onto it. So take your opposite elbow on top and you're either going to wrap up your wings or hold onto your shoulders. If you're holding onto your shoulders, use your hands to kind of pull the skin apart so you're stretching that upper back. If you've got your hands wound up, pull your hands forward to stretch the skin in the upper back. And take 3 deep breaths on your exhale. Think all of the widest, softest, heaviest thoughts about your pelvic area. Big breath in. Big breath out. Unwind your arms. Unwind your legs. And then take your other leg out. This time it should be your right leg that's coming on top because you're going to slide that foot over so that you're on the outside of your leg. And I'm trying to kind of squeeze my thighs towards each other. Ideally, knee on top of knee. It's an inexact science, as with most things. And I like to give a little grasp of my knees so that I can pull myself forward over the thighs. Sometimes hands down is nice. I notice I kind of scooch back when my hands are down, though. That's one of the reasons I say the knee, because it's like a little hug. Leading with the heart. Knowing that this is an intense shape and the intensity is all at your own direction. You don't need to go full on into it. If you did want to get a little bit more into your outer thigh, you walk kind of over towards your foot, but then you also need to relax that left hip down. Staying here as you breathe in, softening something as you breathe out, and then coming back to the center. And you can unwind your legs and let this go. You can stay here. You can try to fold that bottom knee in. A little bit of rearrangement of legs. And if this side was a bad idea, just go back and have that leg extended. Doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical. Our bodies are not symmetrical anyway. And then you'll take that opposite arm on top and you'll have hands wound, or you'll be holding and pulling the skin away from center, giving some stretch across the backs of your shoulders. And then thinking wide and heavy in the hips. A lot of sensation here. Big, deep hip work. Try to keep your breath as smooth and steady as in more familiar territory. Breathing in, breathing out. Start to unwind your arms, start to unwind your legs. I'm gonna set the pillows off to your side. You might have them handy if you want to use them at all, anywhere in the body for Shavasana. But we're gonna come down for just a few more shapes before we come into our final rest. And start off with the hips on the floor, the feet on the floor. You can even widen your feet out a little bit more. That actually feels really good, especially to relax the knees. So feet are a little wider and a little bit further away from your hips. And you're gonna leave the hips on the floor. Just feel the feet pressing down and letting there be a little pelvic tilt going on. We just did some really deep hip work today, some long holds and some strong leg and pelvic places. I'm just kind of noticing how this area is feeling about this tilting and rolling the hips along the tops of the femurs, the thigh bones. Just this little tilting. Take about 2 more breaths, 2 more tilts. And then bring your feet in more about hip width distance apart and a little bit closer to your hips. Wiggle your shoulders underneath your back. You're going to start with that hip tilt of pushing into the feet and then start to lift your hips all the way up. Wiggle your shoulders in more. Maybe hold your hands, maybe hold your hips, maybe hold your mat, but push strong into those feet. Knees reach away from the heart. Heart pulls back away from the knees. Take one more smooth, long breath in. And see if you can really smooth and lengthen out your return down onto your back. Resting the hips when you arrive. Walk your feet out a little bit wider and let your knees knock against each other. When you're ready, start to pick the knees up. Widen the knees out, start to take happy baby, reaching for your shins or for your feet, coming from the insides of your legs so you really get that big opening in the inner thighs. Take one more breath in, happy baby. And start to relax your feet down. Bring your knees towards each other. Open your arms. Take the knees over to one side, allowing you to open into a twist at the heart and soften the belly. Little stretch to the outside of the top hip. Relaxing that collarbone that's opening, softening through the throat and the eyebrows. Can you keep the breath slow and steady even here? One more breath. And then moving the knees over towards the other side. When you get there, softening your belly, relaxing that opening collarbone. Just watching the breath. One more round of breath. And then start to come back into the center. Bring the soles of the feet down. Let the knees knock against each other. Draw the arms down closer in by your sides. Ask yourself if there's anything else that you should be doing with your body at the end of practice. Sometimes sliding these pillows in underneath the thighs can be really nice. Maybe even putting the pillows underneath your hips, leaving the knees bent. That can be lovely. Maybe you just want to put it behind your head, lounge. Take a seated meditation. You can leave the pillows alone. Put your legs up against the wall. Take the time to set yourself up in a place that feels really good to you to rest. Give yourself the permission to rest and be soft, just occupying space for a moment. If the mind wanders, it wanders. No worries. Rest very well. When to love more during hard times, not on good terms times, when it is too difficult and not easy times, at the lowest point, want to give up times. For love in those moments multiplies love infinity times. You are loved not because you are easy, but because you are there for the challenges when it matters most. Start to come back into your body, feeling your breath. Keeping that smooth, easy quality to any movements that start to speak to you. Eventually bending your knees and rolling yourself over to one side, pausing in a moment of gratitude for your practice and the ability to still share practice together. Finding your own version of a comfortable seat whenever you're ready, taking your time to get there. And when you arrive, bringing your hands together at your heart. Keeping that same slow, easy quality to our sealing Om together. Taking a long breath in. Bowing down to the love and light within each of our hearts. Namaste. Okay, you want to come say hi?
Who's your new little friend?
Yeah, this is Jezebel. Do you want to come say hello?
Went back to sleep. Maybe it's just too tiring. Nap time. Thank you so much, April.
Thanks, Melinda.
Yes, thank you, April.
Thanks.
Fabulous, always. Bye, ladies.
Have great days, everybody. Take care.